The iPhone XS and XS Max cameras are really becoming incredible. With new portrait mode controls and smart HDR, your photos and videos can really look amazing. In this video, we'll be going over the camera features, settings, and tips and tricks so you can start taking better pictures and videos. Let's get started. To start things off, let's open up the camera application and we'll go over some of the basics of the camera app. Now, if you are a little bit more advanced, you can skip ahead using the timestamps on screen to go over the specific section you want to learn. For everybody else, let's go over navigating the camera application. Switching between the different modes is as easy as swiping right or left. You'll also notice the different options at the top will change depending on which mode you're working with. At the bottom, most of the features are available in each mode. For example, this one will switch between the rear-facing camera, which we're looking at right here, to the front-facing camera. You can also switch back in the same fashion just by tapping it again. The button in the middle is your shutter button or record button. It'll take your photo or record your video. So whenever you're ready to take a photo, all you have to do is tap the shutter button and the photo will be taken. You'll notice a preview appears at the bottom left, and the photo is also saved to your Photos application. Tap the preview to open it up. You can then use the features at the bottom to either edit, share it, or even send it to the trash. You can access your Photos app by tapping All Photos and return to the Camera app by tapping the arrow at the top left. While in the photo mode, you can tap the three circles which open up the live filters on the camera. This is very similar to Instagram where you can add filters, but these ones will be live before you take the photo so you can see how it'll look first. You can also add these after the fact in the editing option of the Photos app, but for example, let's say we wanted to take a silver tone photo, we'll select the filter and then tap the shutter button and we've taken our photo. To return back to the original, just go to the first one and then you can tap the three circles to return to the normal photo. The second option is a timer. If we tap on it, you can set a timer for 3 seconds or 10 seconds, and this is great if you have group photos. Let's tap 3 seconds and then tap our shutter button. And the photo's taken. The next option is live photos, and this is set up by default to be on. What it does is save about a second before and after your photo to create this live effect. So for example, I'm going to take a photo of my hand right here. So I'm just going to keep moving and I'm going to tap the shutter button. If we look at the preview, you'll see the photo looks normal, but if we press, it'll start moving, giving you that live effect. Now, while this photo is saved, if you tap edit, you can turn the live option off. So this way, if you are going to send it to someone, they'll only see the clip that you're looking at. Also, you can actually select which keyframe in that live photo you want so you can get the perfect photo every single time. So if you want this to be your key photo, tap make key photo and that's now what everybody will see. Once again, we can turn the live off, tap done, and we've now edited the photo to make it perfect for our scene. If you want to turn the live photo off completely, just tap on the live off and it won't take the photo in live mode. The last option right here is the flash, and there's three options. Auto, which is traditionally what I leave it on, or you can set it to on or off. So we have it set to on. You'll notice the little flash icon. If we tap on it, you'll see the flash appears when you take the photo. Now, while taking photos and videos, there are options you can use to really customize what you're focusing on and how it's going to look. For example, you can zoom in by either tapping on the one-time zoom here, which will give you 2x zoom. You can also zoom in by pinching outwards or zoom out by pinching inwards. You can tap to focus on the subject, for example, our background, and it'll focus on that. You can lock the focus by holding on a certain area and it'll lock the focus. You'll also see the lock option at the top appear. To move out of the locked focus, just tap anywhere else. And when you are focusing, you can swipe upwards to brighten the screen or down to darken it. So depending on how or what setting you're in, you can change it to look exactly how you want. When you're ready, once again, you tap the shutter button and you've taken your photo or your video. Now there's two variations on how you can hold the phone to take pictures. You can hold it this way, which is the portrait mode, use the shutter button and take your photo, or you can hold it like this in landscape mode and use the volume rockers to take your photo or video. Depending on the app you're going to use or upload the file to, choose the appropriate option. If you shoot your video or photo in this portrait mode and you open it in an app, for example YouTube, it's going to look like this and you're going to get the black bars beside it. So make sure if you're going to upload any videos to YouTube that you hold it in this landscape mode. While taking photos, you can actually use a burst photo mode, and the way that works is you simply hold on the shutter button when you're taking your photo. So for example, if we hold, you can see how many photos it took all at once, literally within seconds. And if we open up the preview, you'll see at the top it says burst, and you can see we took 14 photos. Now in terms of accessing the camera, as I showed you, the easiest way is to simply tap the camera app. If you press with some force on the camera app, you'll see the other options. So you can just straight up open it to record a video or in portrait mode, and it'll open straight to that specific mode. Additionally, if you pull down to the control center, you have the camera option right here as well, which you can open in the same fashion. And lastly, while the phone is locked, for example, you can then press and hold on the camera button until it opens up like this. Moving over to the right side, we'll take a look at portrait mode, which is a really cool feature with the iPhone XS and XS Max. What this is going to do is give you a really nice, almost professional camera look. So I'm going to tip this so we can look at a different subject here. So we're going to look at that person right there. And you can see that the background is blurred, and that's how it's going to sort of set this up. Now there's different options here. This is natural light. We can go to the studio light, contour, stage light, or the stage light mono. Now I'll show you how they look after the fact. You can change them before or after. So let's focus in on what we want here. So this little figure here, and we'll tap the shutter button. Now once we've done that, once again we see our preview. If we tap on our preview, we can actually edit it and change how much blur is in our background with the depth meter here. So by default it's in the middle. We can either take the blur away completely or completely really blur out that background and give you that really amazing professional look effect. Additionally, you can change between the portrait option. For example, this was natural light. We can switch to studio light, contour, stage light, or even the mono. And it really gives you a cool effect. And again, with this option to change the depth of field in the background, you really have a lot of control on how little or how much blur you want in the background. Square photo pretty much works exactly like the standard photo, but this is great if you want to use the default camera app to take your Instagram photos. They'll fit perfectly with Instagram. The pano option here is really cool because it's going to allow you to take a panoramic photo. It's a little bit tedious, but you can really take some awesome shots with it. So what we want to do is start off in the area we want. So let's say right there. When we tap on the shutter button, we're going to slowly move this and try to follow that line as closely as we can. And by doing that, we're going to get this really cool panoramic huge photo. So let's focus in here. We'll tap the shutter button and let's start moving across. And you want to try to keep it in line as best as you can and not have jitter. So having it on a tripod or something would be really good. When you're done, tap stop. It'll save the panoramic photo for you. You can see on screen, this is what we could see traditionally in the middle. If we tap on our preview, look how much extra we have. We have so much extra. And just to show you, if we flip this over to landscape mode, we can see it even bigger, and you can tell how much we got on screen. Moving on, we'll take a look at the video section now. Now the video section works very similar to the photos. It's just going to record the video depending on the settings you have set up. Again, you can flip between the rear facing camera and the front facing camera really easily. You have your record button now, which is in red. The only thing with the record button, once you tap on it, it's going to start recording. You can zoom while you're recording in and out, which will be recorded. You can actually take photos while you're recording as well. You'll see the timer up top. However, if you're looking to take Instagram style stories, you can't hold and stop with this camera app just yet. Hopefully it'll be released one day. Next, we'll look at the slow-mo option here. And this one's really cool because it slows down your video and gives you the option to make some really cool videos. So what I'm gonna do just to show you is drop this so it breaks open on camera. All I have to do is tap the shutter or the record button. We'll tap stop. We can open our preview and tap play. And you can see how that looks in that slow-mo effect. So using your creativity with this, you can really create something unique, especially if you're into sports and things like that. You can catch some really cool effects. Lastly is the time lapse, and time lapse is really cool because it gives you that effect of speeding up the video. So you would record the time lapse for, say, an hour, and it would break it down into a very fast paced, let's say 30-second clip or a minute clip, and it could be something as cool as a sunset in a matter of seconds, clouds moving, day turning to night. It can be really cool, and you can make something really unique, as you can see on screen. Now let's take a look at some of the settings. So we'll open the settings application, we'll swipe down to bring up our search bar, and then type the word camera. Tap camera, and these are the settings that are set up by default. Let's work our way through each one. We'll start with preserve settings. Now this is going to allow you to control how the camera app opens depending on where you leave off. So the first one is camera mode, and the way you set this one up is you open your camera and you set it to the option you want it to always open in. So let's say portrait. We want it to always open in portrait mode. We'll leave it open, we'll tap settings, and we'll turn it on. Now when we close this application, the camera app, and we reopen it, it's going to always open in portrait mode. If you have this setting off, it opens in the default photo mode. Creative controls allow you to save whatever filter, light, depth. The live photo works the same. It'll allow you to preserve the setting of the live photo on or off depending on the switch. The next option is grid. I like the grid. A lot of people don't like to use it, but when you turn it on, it'll create a grid on screen here. The next option is scan QR codes, and QR codes are these weird things that you might have seen on different billboards or on apps and things like that, tickets. And what it does is automatically when you open up your camera app, you just put the QR code in front of it, it'll automatically pop up with a drop down to take you to that website. So I leave that on, it's a good feature. So record video here, these are all the recording options you can choose from. There's 60 frames per second, 24 at 4K, 60 frames per second, and you'll see you can read through how each of them will affect the memory and film style that you're going to take as well. You can also lock the camera here. These cameras have dual cameras on the back, so sometimes when you're filming you may get this flickering because it's switching between the two cameras as you're recording. Some people don't like this, it may cause this weird effect. You can lock the camera so it doesn't, or you can just leave it off, which is the default. Also, depending on the option, for example, if we go to 4K, when you open the camera app, it's going to tell you that you're in 4K at 60 frames per second. Also, if we go back to 1080p at 60 frames per second, the front-facing camera can now do this as well. So if we flip it to the front, you'll see the front is also in that 60 frames per second mode. For me, I traditionally use 1080p at 30 frames per second. You have an auto low light option here, which you can turn on. This is going to reduce the frames from 30 to 24 to improve low light situations. I leave that on traditionally as well. Moving back to the camera, we'll take a look at slow-mo. Slow-mo options, the one we looked at was 1080p at 240 frames per second. You can switch it to the 120, which will be a little bit faster. I like the 240 better though. Moving down, we have record stereo sound. This is an improvement to the microphone. I suggest leaving it on unless there's a specific reason you want to turn it off. You're going to get better recording audio when you record video. Formats here, I usually leave mine to high efficiency, but if you want to reduce the file size, you might want to go to most compatible. Keep in mind that some options, the last line 4K, 60 frames per second, 240 frames per second, require the high efficiency mode. Moving down, we have the Smart HDR. It's going to blend the best parts of separate exposures into a single photo. Keep normal photo. If you want to have this on, it's going to keep an additional normal photo without any of the Smart HDR features. So that is it. Hopefully this video gives you a better idea on how the iPhone XS and XS Max camera works. If it helped you out or you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comment box below. Also hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one and many more iPhone tips and tricks. Also, if you have any questions or need any help, feel free to ask in the comment box down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.